So I'd like to explore the question I get a lot, which is, should I specialize or should I be a generalist?
Just look internally and ask yourself, what am I really good at? What I don't want to do is have you start competing against everybody, because then you won't be good at anything.
You said that we're the original generalists, right? We're the generalists of all animals as humans. And yet so many of us go to specialize. And we accomplish so many great things as being specialists. But as a specialist, you almost rob yourself the beauty of being human.
Generalist versus specialist. Which is better? Asked by Ivan at Disco Stew on Instagram. Short answer, specialist.
And my answer, in short, would be you should be a specialized generalist. So let me explain what that means.
So which one is it? As you saw, there is no real agreement on who is primed more for success in the sense the word is traditionally defined. And I also believe the question is more interesting than the actual answer, because the answer is very contextual and everyone should find their own answer through their worldview. But I will give you my answer in combination with a few books. In this case, Mastery, Range, Essentialism, and Outliers. On top of these sources, there will be a layer of my own thoughts and experiences. You can expect most future videos to have that sort of structure. Because the conclusion will have an impact on what I want to do on this channel, I will give it to you beforehand. I believe humans are highly multivariate with multiple interests instead of a singular niche attraction, which makes us generalists or all-rounders instead of specialists by design. At the same time, while it might sound counterintuitive right now, every generalist is automatically a specialist. This thought will become clear during the video. I will explain the advantages and differences between specialism and generalism individually next, but first of all, why does this question matter to me? I have a great interest in learning. I think learning is one of the most fun and rewarding aspects of life. It's one of those things that apply to this Rick Sanchez quote.
Hey, sorry I didn't listen to you and tried to kill the whole world and stuff. I guess I gotta learn how to live in the moment a little more.
Oh boy, so you actually learned something today? What is this, Full House? I was living in the moment all day and it kept getting me killed by Nazis. I think you have to think ahead and live in the moment.
But the desire to learn has no intrinsic or integral path, so what path to take? Get really well read in one narrow topic to the point where I'm an expert among experts, or instead taking in a variety of topics from history to human psychology, science and philosophy with less profundity? What is more enjoyable in the moment and what reaps greater long-term gratification in terms of monetary capital and a life full of happiness? Let's look at specialism first. I think specialism is a term that's often correlated with prodigies, and we are very attracted by prodigy stories. The narrative is always really inspiring to us, and it's a lot of fun to watch a master excel at what he does. The 4-year-old girl playing piano like she had a lifetime of training, or the 8-year-old kid that completely obliterates everyone at a chess tournament. David Epstein names Tiger Woods as an example in his book Range. Tiger Woods got a putter at 7 months old, was on national television at age 2 and was the best golfer in the world at age 21. Similarly, Malcolm Gladwell observed that you need 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become a master at something. Two examples he describes among others are Bill Gates, who was one of the few with a computer access at the time and he got so obsessed with it, resulting in him being one of the richest men in the world. And the other example are the Beatles, that played countless all-night concerts in Hamburg and just got more practice than any other band. The path to become a master is through apprenticeships and self-directed, focused study. On your way to mastery, you make use of the circle of accelerated returns. Over time, practice becomes easier and more interesting, leading to the ability to practice for longer hours, which then makes you more skillful and the circle starts anew. A potential problem that arises through specialization is that you are more fixed on one career path. If it's not how you envisioned it, you don't have the ability to easily switch. This is especially important to take into consideration when you are young, because people's personalities and interests change most drastically between age 18 to age 30. At least I certainly don't care for the exact same things that I cared about 5 years ago. The most momentous personality changes occur between age 18 and one's late 20s, so specializing early is a task of predicting match quality for a person who does not yet exist. It could work, but it makes for worse odds. Plus, while personality change slows, it does not stop at any age. Sometimes it can actually happen instantly. What you also notice when you think about the most expert activities that you can think of is that they are often very closely bounded with clear rules. Whether that's memorizing patterns in chess or muscle memory while playing piano, the environment in that specialized people thrive is often narrow. But the world does not offer very clear rules. In fact, it's very chaotic with delayed feedback and incomplete information on many decisions that you need to make. So let's look at the generalist next, someone who is not incredibly good at one thing, but doing pretty fine in many. David Epstein found that wide range of experiences make you a better learner in general. Generalists are better problem solvers because they have been exposed to more analogies that they can transfer to problems outside of their previous field. While a specialist can profit off of the circle of accelerated returns, a generalist makes use of the circle of accelerated adaptation. This is not from the book Mastery, but rather a simplification I came up with myself. Instead of finding the skill you are perfecting easier to learn through more hours spent, a generalist finds it easier to adapt and transition his existing skill set and learning methods to something new and will learn new skills faster that way. Now, I think here's a good place to give you a bit of context about myself, because in the end, I'll be running this channel, so I think it makes sense that you know who you're listening to. This intro did not fit into my last video, but here it blends in perfectly. You'll see why. I'm a pretty hardcore reader. I read about 170 books from various subjects in the last 3 years and taught myself a variety of creative skills from programming to basic design and video editing, among others, since I'm 16 or so. I'm literally introduced as the all-rounder in my company's pitch deck, where I'm part of the shareholders and management team. But that's not how I started within the company in 2013. Instead, I was a content creator for YouTube. Then I did content for brands like Red Bull. Then I did graphics. Then I did project management and project lead. Then consulting brands. Then I was on national television twice as an esports commentator. Then I designed and built a studio and directed and produced 2 seasons of a live show for PlayStation Germany. Then I also built our website where we offer coaching and got a bachelor's degree in computer science as my side gig. Now I'm part of the management team focusing on operations. I also launched a software product myself where I went from idea generation to design to actually coding the complete front end and back end of the application within half a year or so as my side project. And I consult the CEO of a PayPal alternative about live presentations. And now I started this YouTube channel. I listed these activities to get the generalist point across. Truth be told, I am not the best in any of these things. And I don't aim to be. I aim to be sufficiently good to create meaningful results. Something I really enjoy about being a generalist is that my usual day doesn't really feel mundane. I don't even have a typical day. There is days where I code, then there are days where I work on a presentation deck, create graphics, talk to clients, think about strategy, or create content. I also value this approach in my time outside of the company. It makes it easier to flow with inspiration, and while I don't have any scientific proof for it, I believe it reduces burnout risk, because at least to me it's more exciting to experiment with new ideas instead of doing the same things over and over again. I also find Nassim Taleb's viewpoint on the question noteworthy. He is easily one of the sharpest living minds, and I will cover all of his books in a future video. He not only explains that over-specialization often goes hand in hand with the survivorship bias, but also states that being a generalist is still possible. Information has not expanded vastly in many areas, but the access to it did, which makes generalism on a higher level possible compared to the past.
Many people accept that specialization is the key to human advancement. Do you think that's true, or is there still a place in the world for the Renaissance man?
It is not true that specialization, over-specialization visibly makes you fragile because your field, may disappear. You see the success stories of those who over-specialize and happen to be successful. Okay, not the other ones. There's a huge cemetery of over-specialized people who have disappeared. Number one. 2, I don't know what he calls Renaissance man, but knowledge has not improved massively. People don't realize that we still have. You have the impression from seeing that you have about 1 million papers in social science, okay, that we have advanced knowledge. We have not. Read Seneca, and you'll see that in the moral sciences, and a lot of fields, we have not advanced that much. Yes. In a complex domain, we have not advanced that much. So, being a generalist, as people were 500 years ago, is still feasible.
There's also a third type of person called the specialized generalist. It's often described through a T-shape or pie-shape model. The horizontal line portrays the area of skills someone has. The wider the line, the more that person qualifies as a jack of all trades. The vertical lines show the depth of a certain skill. So a specialized generalist is someone with good all-around abilities who has particular strength in one or two areas. What I don't like about these models is that they make skills look very detached from one another. My model would look something like this instead. Almost like a neural network that has an input layer in the form of skills and an output layer that displays how the skills have been recombined to create something new. The interesting part about this model is that it can be reverse engineered. You can think of what you want to create as a starting point and figure out what you need to learn for your creation. This is how I usually look at my own projects. This model shows why I believe that every generalist is a specialist at the same time. I'll give you a concrete example. The last video I created. I think you would agree that there are not many people in the world who can create a video the way I did on the topic of Bitcoin, which is the definition of an expert or specialist to have a rare skill. But look at what was necessary for the video to come to life. My computer science background helped to understand Bitcoin. My entrepreneurial pursuits make me interested in the underlying economics. The video editing was possible through what I learned when I was 17. The professional production quality came from the things I learned while producing the live show for PlayStation, 3-point Rembrandt lighting, color correction, stuff like that. I also learned to have at least somewhat of a camera presence through my work as an esports commentator, and the graphic animations were possible through the graphic design foundations I learned a few years ago. So as you can see, the video I created is just a recombination of all my non-expert status skills. Just as my productivity software that I created is a recombination of my all-around skills, and everything else I do and will do. While there will be more videos on Bitcoin, especially the next one for example, I'm interested in more than one niche. So my future videos will revolve around different ideas. Here's a quote from Robert Greene that further illustrates my standpoint. We are dealing with several fields of knowledge constantly intersecting with our own, and all of this chaos is exponentially increased by the information available through technology. What this means is that all of us must possess different forms of knowledge and an array of skills in different fields, and have minds that are capable of organizing large amounts of information. The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. Mark Andreessen, the creator of Netscape and founder of Andreessen Horowitz, expands on this thought. The fact is, this is even the secret formula to becoming a CEO. All successful CEOs are like this. They are almost never the best product visionaries, or the best salespeople, or the best marketing people, or the best finance people, or even the best managers. But they are top 25% in some set of those skills, and then, all of a sudden, they are qualified to actually run something important. In the end, I believe that every path is fine and completely justifiable. Just figure out what works for you, what's more enjoyable in the moment, and what promises greater rewards in the future. My approach has a clearly entrepreneurial bias. It might be less effective if I would want to climb the corporate ladder, for example. Also, I'm just a 24-year-old random dude anyway, so I'm the last one who will tell you your approach won't work. Another thought that some of you will disagree with, but I want to voice it anyway, is that I think the majority of college degrees make you neither an expert nor an all-rounder. You study in one field only, so you can't be an all-rounder, and they teach you the same skills as every other student that gets your degree, so how much of an expert are you really? College degrees are not bad per se, but you will need to build something around and on top of them to make them truly valuable. My advice would be to do creative work publicly and get judged by reality instead of a professor. This takes courage, but will be rewarded by society and the market. The esports company I'm part of for 7 years now approached me after I released a few very basic videos on YouTube. Equivalently, the Bitcoin video I made created opportunities as well. I got invited to 2 podcasts, 2 other people want my help on a documentary, and 1 financial startup approached me calling my knowledge priceless to them and offering me a stake in the company. You can absolutely force opportunities or luck or however you want to call it through learning a skill set and displaying it publicly. Or again, in Mark Andreessen's words, in my opinion, it's now critically important to get into the real world and really challenge yourself. Expose yourself to risk, put yourself in situations where you will succeed or fail by your own decisions and actions, and where that success or failure will be highly visible. As I said, this takes courage. Most people are struck by imposter syndrome, and while I surely feel it as well in some cases, I now often get myself into telling myself that I'm good enough, because I was unqualified for pretty much every project that I ever did. When exposed to something new, I now have the confidence that I'll figure it out on the way. So this is my last message. You are good enough to profit off of what you are doing. Do it publicly and monetize your learning curve. Courage creates greater rewards than a credential system. Rightly so. Thanks for watching. I would love to see your thoughts in the comments down below. And what are you? Are you a specialist? Are you a generalist? Are you something in between? And I would also really appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more video essays. Last but not least, if you want to follow me on social media, you can do that on either Twitter or Instagram. Enough self-promotion, have a good day and see you next time.